Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again towards Parashat Vayishlach, and we have a topic which is so relevant. I'm sorry to say it is very, very relevant. And that is the story of this lovely young girl, the only girl Yaakov had, Dinah. And after all their travels, they finally arrived to Israel, and they settle in Shechem, which is Nablus. And she is actually kidnapped and raped and tortured. She's held hostage. And that's a terrible, terrible thing. Something we're facing already for over a year, with 100 hostages still there. And we're beside ourselves. And we want to know what did Yaakov do? How did we handle the first ever situation, which was somewhat similar, so many thousands of years ago? What do we have in our heritage? What is passed down to us in our tradition? What did they do? How did it work out? So the story there goes that the father of Hamor, the father of this boy who kidnapped Dinah, came over and said, "Oh, we want to be peaceful with you. We want to marry you, whatever you want. Let's make a peace deal." Whilst he's still holding her as hostage, what a chutzpah! Whilst he's still torturing her, he comes as if nothing's happened, as if everything's fine and dandy. So Shimon and Levi swindle him. And Shimon and Levi say, "Yes, we can do that, but you all need a brit milah. You all need to be circumcised." And they went back and they told all their men to get circumcised, and they managed to convince them. And on the third day, when they were still in pain, they came in and they killed all the men. So is that what one is supposed to do? They killed all the men. They took Dinah home, brought her home, and that was it. So this is a very extreme reaction, but also taking Dinah as a hostage, and taking her and raping her and torturing her is a terrible crime. So is this wiping out all the males of the whole town? Is that the right thing to do? So how does Yaakov relate to this? So it's interesting. Yaakov relates to this, and he's angry with them for doing this. Why is he angry with them? He says, "Achartem oti," which means it's a chilul Hashem. You use the mitzvah we have of bris milah as a strategic trick to weaken the enemy. That's what our mitzvahs are all about. So this is a chilul Hashem. And the second thing is, now that we've been so hostile to this town, all the different nations around us are going to jump on us now and take revenge. And all they could answer was, "We're sorry, we cannot see our girl, our sister, being treated in such a way." So this was what is interesting is Yaakov doesn't say you did something bad. He doesn't tell them you are bad people, you did a bad deed. He's just saying that the way you did it was Chilul Hashem by using this trick, and strategically it might backfire on us, and other people might attack us. So was it a right act, or was it not a right act? Maybe they should have only killed this Hamor who did the act. Why kill all the people in town? So this is a lot has been written about this. That means, what about all the uninvolved citizens of Shechem, of Nablus? Why were they killed? Why just not kill the person who did this? Bystanders. Are there innocent bystanders in Gaza? In Gaza today, are there innocent bystanders? And that's why this issue is so relevant. And that's why the question is so loud and clear. And the answer is, there's a dispute. There's a dispute. When we look at the Rambam says, no, you can clearly go in and kill them all for a simple reason. Because there's 7 Noahide laws. And in one of the 7 Noahide laws is when somebody does something unjust, You have to bring him to justice. And it was the people of the town who were supposed to bring Hamor to justice, and they didn't. And if they desecrate any of the 7 Noahide laws, they are chayiv misa, they can be killed. The Ramban, Nachmanides, disagrees. And he said, well, the Noahide laws, there are some positive and some negative. So if there's a negative law there, and they went against a negative law, so you can kill them. But if they just didn't do a positive, they didn't take him to justice, negative, just not doing a positive law is not as extreme as doing a negative law. And we see that also with us, with mitzvahs. If a person a person forgets to put on the tefillin or doesn't put on tzitzis, so he's missed a positive mitzvah. Desecrating Shabbos is much worse. Eating treif is much worse because he's going against something negative. So the Ramban disputes with him. The interesting thing is that the Maharal, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, one of the greatest rabbis in Europe 500 years ago, writes in a very clear way. He says, all this is true. He brings the side of the dispute, but he sides with the Rambam and says they were quite right to wipe them out. Why? Because they were already a nation. They came. They were a big group of people, and when they came, when they have these negotiations, it says our people will marry your people. We're already a people. We're already a nation. And when nations fight nations, so bystanders are also part of this, because they do not. The problem is that they should have at least said it wasn't okay. At least they should have tried to stop him. At least they should have afterwards said, we're sorry. In Gaza, was there ever one post? Was anybody ever saying anything against the fact that the 7th of October, was anybody? Was there ever a demonstration against? Of course not. That means they were all agreeing to it, and by agreeing to it, that means that they are part of this terrible thing, and therefore they should be treated in the same way. And like the people there are no innocent bystanders according to this, says the Maharal. Having said that, let's go further on to Parshas Vayechi. Parshas Vayechi, Yaakov Avinu himself says to Shimon and Levi that tells them off, and he says, "You did something bad." He says to them in Parshas Vayechi, he says to them very clearly, Shimon veLevi achim klei chamas mechotehem v'sodam al tavon nafshi bikalam al techad kvodi ki ba'apam hagoish uvirtzonam mikrusho. He actually tells them off for doing a bad deed, which is killing Shechem. But why is it a bad deed? In the same pasuk, we understand through Rashi that ba'apam hagoish is Shechem, and Birtzonam Mikru Shor is a nickname for Yosef. The Shimon and Levi, if all you do is you use your hostility against Goyim who kidnap and rape your sister, that's okay. The thing is, you took your hostility home, and it was Shimon and Levi who threw Yosef into the pit and were hostile and brought this hostility back home. And that is the problem. That brings us to the very beginning of the Parsha, and it says, Vayira Yaakov ma'od vayetzer lo. Yaakov was about to meet Esau, and he was also frightened, and he's also very sorry. So Rashi says, why is he frightened? He was frightened to get killed. And he was sorry because he might have to kill him. We don't want to be killed, but we don't want to kill. Why don't we want to kill? Because we know it influences us. We become hostile people. I just want to end off with a quote from Golda Meir. the Prime Minister of Israel, the time of the Yom Kippur War, when after the Yom Kippur War, after the negotiations and giving back the hostages, the prisoners of war, excuse me, and the arrangement there, she said the following sentence. She said, "We can forgive the fact that you send your boys, your Egyptian boys, to kill our Jewish boys, but we cannot forgive you for making our Jewish boys kill your Egyptian boys, because once you become hostile." Once we are involved in hostility, it has a potential to influence your neshama. And therefore, David HaMelech, who's greater than David HaMelech? David HaMelech wrote Tehillim, didn't build Beis HaMikdash because he was so much involved in so much war. So this hostility has an influence on the neshama to such a way that he couldn't build Beis HaMikdash. So these are things that are on my mind on this week's Parsha, still with all these Nebuch hostages. And we should know that the people who are bystanders, who are passive bystanders there in Gaza, are not so innocent. And they could stop it, and they could cooperate, and they could, but they don't. So we have to understand. We have to understand that we must be careful not to have rachmanis, not to have mercy on people who are so cruel. Shabbat Shalom.